My name is Dr. Arthur Hartman. I am 63 years old. I spent my entire career as a doctor believing a lie, and I accidentally passed that lie on to thousands of my patients. I used to think that aging was just something that happens to you. I thought one morning you wake up and your body has simply decided to slow down. I spent decades not knowing something that changed everything when I finally found out. Let me tell you what happened. Most people believe aging is entirely out of their control. But after 30 years in medicine, sitting in small exam rooms and watching people grow old, I can tell you that is not how it works. Aging is not random. It is not inevitable. And it is certainly not equal. I watched two patients in my clinic, both 75 years old. One walked through the park every morning, cooked her own meals, and drove to the grocery store completely alone. The other could barely get out of bed. They were the exact same age. They lived in the same town. But they had completely different bodies. I didn't know it at the time, but what separated them was not luck. It was not genetics, at least not mostly. It was a handful of daily habits so ordinary, so deeply woven into everyday life that most people never question them. Today, I want to walk you through 5 of those specific habits. 5 silent patterns that are shaving years off your life right now, whether you like it or not. And then, I want to give you 3 things you can do starting tomorrow to push back against them. Some of what I am about to say may surprise you. Some of it may make you feel uncomfortable. Good. That means it matters. Let us begin. A geriatrician mentor once told me something I have never forgotten. He said, "I can tell you how long a patient has left to live by watching them walk through my door." I thought he was exaggerating. He was not being dramatic. Let me explain. In geriatric medicine, the way a person moves tells a doctor more about their future than almost any blood test. Their gait, their balance, their confidence. Mobility is not just about your muscles. It is the clearest window into how your entire body is functioning. And the thing that destroys mobility faster than almost anything else is simply sitting. I read a massive study from San Diego. They tracked thousands of older women. They found that those who sat for more than 11.5 hours a day had a 30% higher risk of death. And here is what terrified me as a doctor. That risk stayed high regardless of how much they exercised. You see, even if they walked in the morning, if they spent the rest of the day sitting, their risk stayed elevated. Why? Because your body does not operate on averages. When you sit still for more than 30 minutes at a time, a bad chemical cascade begins inside you. Blood pools in your lower body. Your blood sugar rises. Your brain receives less oxygen. Inflammation builds up. Researchers confirm that continuous sitting, not your total sitting time, is the real threat. 30 unbroken minutes is the dangerous threshold. And here's what I didn't understand then. People think a morning workout completely cancels it out. I had a patient named Margaret. She walked for an hour every morning. But then she sat in her favorite recliner to watch television for the next 10 hours. I told her the walk was enough. I was wrong. I gave her bad advice. A 1-hour walk in the morning does not undo 11 hours of sitting in a chair. That is like eating a healthy salad for lunch and drinking poison for dinner. The real solution is interruption. You must stand every 30 minutes. Walk to the kitchen, stretch your arms, roll your ankles. 2 minutes resets your body entirely. There is one more piece to this. Walking alone does not protect your muscles. Walking is just cardiovascular. Your muscles need resistance. They need something to push against. Stand up from a chair 10 times. Press your palms against a solid wall. Carry your own groceries. Your muscles need to be challenged, not just transported. Sitting too long without an interruption is habit number 1. Now, let me talk about something that will make some people very uncomfortable. Honestly, it makes some of my fellow doctors uncomfortable too. I am not telling anyone to stop taking their prescribed medication. Do not do that. What I am telling you is that taking too many medications without a regular review may be more dangerous than the diseases they are meant to treat. This is called polypharmacy. It means the simultaneous use of 5 or more daily medications. Among adults over 75, nearly half are doing this every single day. I saw this in my own clinic constantly. A recent study tracked nearly 1,000 patients over 75. Those taking 5 or more medications had a much higher risk of death within 1 year. Their risk of landing in the hospital was 2.5 times higher. How does this happen? I watched the cycle firsthand. Each drug is prescribed by a completely different specialist. The cardiologist gives you a blood pressure pill. The endocrinologist gives you a diabetes pill. The rheumatologist adds a strong anti-inflammatory. Each doctor solves one isolated problem, but no one is watching what all of them do together inside your body. One pill lowers your blood pressure, another makes you feel dizzy, a third blurs your vision. Together they create the perfect conditions for a terrible fall. And I can tell you from experience, a fall after 70 is never minor. I have seen it end independent lives. It can be the beginning of a broken hip, immobility, pneumonia, and an irreversible decline. Many of these medications also quietly drain essential nutrients from your body. Cholesterol drugs reduce your CoQ10. Diuretics flush out your potassium and magnesium. Acid blockers prevent the absorption of calcium, iron, and vitamin B12. The result is deep fatigue, severe weakness, and brain fog. That leads to yet another prescription. The cycle deepens. So what should you do? I tell everyone to do this once a year. Take every single medication you are using. Prescriptions, vitamins, supplements, everything. Put them in a bag. Bring them to your doctor or pharmacist. Ask one clear question for each bottle. Is this still necessary? Minimum pills, maximum lifestyle. That is the exact pattern I see among the healthiest people I know over 70. Here is a number that should absolutely stop you in your tracks. A massive review of studies found that sleeping less than 7 hours raises your mortality risk by 14%. Sleeping more than 9 hours raises it by 34%. When you sleep, your body is doing its most important work. I used to think sleep was just resting. I was wrong. Your brain actually clears out toxic proteins through a special system. These are the exact same proteins linked directly to Alzheimer's disease. Your immune system produces cells to fight off infections. Your blood pressure drops to give your working heart a necessary break. Your muscles rebuild. Your hormones rebalance. If you cut that process short, even by one single night, the damage starts immediately. I read a study showing that a single day of sleep deprivation altered immune cell behavior in totally healthy adults. In older adults whose immune systems are already fragile, the physical impact is far worse. I treated a man named Robert. He was 68. He came to me with high blood pressure and a terrible cold he could not shake. We did blood tests. Everything looked normal. Then I asked him about his nights. He told me he stayed up until 2 in the morning watching old movies. He slept maybe 4 hours a night. He told me he was just a night owl. I watched his health decline rapidly over 2 years. His immune system crashed. Chronic sleep deprivation raises your blood pressure. It increases inflammation. It destabilizes your blood sugar. It even accelerates the shortening of your telomeres. Those are the protective caps on your chromosomes that control biological aging. Sleeping less does not just make you feel older. It actually makes your cells older. Yet so many people over 60 treat sleep as optional. They stay up late for television. They scroll through their bright phones in bed. They tell themselves they will catch up on the weekend. But sleep debt does not work like a bank account. You cannot pay it back in bulk on a Sunday. Your body needs absolute consistency. The fix requires simple discipline, not complexity. Go to bed at the exact same time every night, including weekends. Turn off your screen 1 full hour before sleep. Keep your room cool, completely dark, and quiet. If you wake up and cannot fall back asleep, do not reach for your phone. Lie still. Breathe slowly. Let your body remember how to rest. After just 2 or 3 nights of a solid 7 to 8 hours of sleep, most of my patients notice sharper thinking. They have a better mood. They have more energy. Sleep is not wasted time. It is the solid foundation everything else is built on. This next habit hides right in plain sight. Most people over 60 are simply not drinking enough water, and they do not even know it. As you age, your natural thirst mechanism weakens. The part of your brain that normally says, "I am thirsty," becomes much less sensitive. You can be significantly dehydrated and feel perfectly fine. The National Institutes of Health tracked over 11,000 adults for 25 years. People whose blood showed chronic underhydration were biologically older than their actual age. They developed 39% more chronic diseases. This included heart failure, dementia, diabetes, and strokes. They had a 21% higher risk of dying early. Researchers estimate nearly half the world is chronically underhydrated. When your body lacks water, your blood becomes physically thicker. Your heart has to pump much harder to move it. Your kidneys struggle to filter out the daily waste, and over time their function declines. Often there are no symptoms at all until the damage is totally irreversible. Your brain is over 70% water. When it is dry, it slows down. Studies show that dehydrated older adults display the cognitive patterns of people 10 years older than them. Your joints suffer too. The cartilage in your knees and hips is mostly water. Without proper hydration, it dries out. The friction increases. Inflammation rises. Pain worsens rapidly, especially for anyone already managing arthritis. The solution is simple, but you must be strategic about it. Drink a full glass of water first thing in the morning when you wake up. Keep a bottle within arm's reach all day long. Do not wait until you feel thirsty. By the time you feel thirsty, you are already behind. If plain water does not appeal to you, add a slice of lemon or cucumber. Eat water-rich foods like watermelon, cucumber, and broth. Check your urine. If it is light yellow, you are on track. If it is dark, you need to drink right now. You do not need to flood your body with gallons of water. You just need to stay ahead of the deficit consistently every single day. The last habit on this list is one most people never even think of as a habit. But I assure you, it is. Stress is not just something bad that happens to you. It is something you practice through the way you respond to your daily life. A study from Finland found that chronic stress shortens life expectancy by almost 3 years. That might sound modest compared to the other numbers I shared today, but stress is very different. It is not just its own independent risk. It is a massive multiplier of every other risk. When you are stressed, you eat worse food, you move less, you sleep poorly, you isolate yourself from your friends. Stress pushes you directly toward every other bad habit on this list. The physical mechanism is a hormone called cortisol. In short bursts, cortisol sharpens your focus and raises your energy. But when it stays elevated for months and years at a time, it becomes highly destructive. It completely suppresses your immune system. It raises your blood sugar. It increases inflammation in your arteries. It breaks down your muscle tissue. It accelerates that cellular aging I talked about earlier. A university study found that social stress, deep loneliness, financial pressure, and grief directly accelerate immune aging. Your defense system starts to behave like it belongs to someone much older. For many of my senior patients, stress is invisible because it is so constant. It is just the background hum of worrying about their health, worrying about money, worrying about losing their independence, worrying about being a burden to their children. There is no single major crisis. It is just a low-grade tension that never turns off. The solution is not to eliminate stress entirely. That is impossible. The solution is to give your nervous system permission to recover. Take a 10-minute walk outside. Have a real conversation with someone you trust. Find a hobby that completely absorbs your attention. Even doing slow, deep breathing for just 2 minutes measurably lowers your cortisol. You do not have to fix your entire life. You just have to let your body rest from fighting it, even for a few minutes a day. If someone you love is over 60, send them this video. Do not send it as a scary warning. Send it as a gift. Because knowing these 5 habits can genuinely change the next 10 years of their life. Those are the 5 silent habits. Sitting too long, taking too many pills without a review, sleeping too little, drinking too little water, and living under constant stress. Now, I promised you 3 things you can do starting tomorrow to fight back. These are not dramatic lifestyle overhauls. I never ask my patients to change everything at once. They are small, daily acts of resistance against decline, and each one addresses multiple habits on the list we just discussed. The first one is about how you eat. It is not about what strict diet you follow. It is not about what expensive supplements you take. It is just one simple rule. You must include a palm-sized portion of protein at every single meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Here is exactly why this matters far more than most people realize. After you turn 60, your body becomes much less efficient at turning the protein you eat into physical muscle. Scientists call this anabolic resistance. It means that even if you eat the exact same amount of protein as a younger person, your body builds less muscle from it. You actually need 20 to 30% more protein just to maintain the muscle mass you already have. I read a nationwide nutrition survey. It found that among elderly men, 1 in 2 was protein deficient. Among elderly women, 2 out of 3 were deficient. The pattern is incredibly consistent across the board. As people age, they simply eat less meat, they eat less fish, they consume fewer dairy products. Sometimes it is because of the cost at the grocery store. Sometimes it is because their digestion has changed. Sometimes it is because they have been fed bad misinformation about cholesterol. But protein is not just about having big muscles. It is the absolute building block of your bones. 30% of your bone structure is collagen, which is a protein. It is the raw material for your immune antibodies. It is what your body uses to make insulin, serotonin, and melatonin. When your protein drops, everything in your body drops. And here is the critical detail most people completely miss. Your body cannot store protein the way it stores fat or carbohydrates. If you eat all of your protein at dinner, which is the most common pattern I see, your body can only use a tiny fraction of it. The rest is simply wasted. But if you spread it out across 3 meals, your muscle synthesis improves by 20 to 30%. So tomorrow morning, add 2 eggs to your plate, or a cup of Greek yogurt, or a handful of walnuts. At lunch, add a piece of chicken or a serving of tofu. At dinner, just keep doing what you are doing. The change is not in the total amount of food, it is in the distribution. The second habit takes exactly 2 minutes and it costs absolutely nothing. Every 30 minutes, stand up. That is it. Stand up, stretch your arms, walk a few steps, and sit back down. Reset the clock and do it again in 30 minutes. This single habit directly counters the #1 killer on our list, prolonged sitting. It restores your blood flow immediately. It reactivates your leg muscles. It actively pulls glucose out of your bloodstream. It sends fresh oxygen straight back to your brain. A study from Brazil followed over 300 older adults for 5 years. They found that replacing just 10 minutes of sitting with light physical activity reduced their mortality risk by 30%. They were not running marathons. They were not lifting heavy weights. They were just standing up and moving around. And replacing 60 minutes brought the risk down by 78%. The returns on this tiny investment are extraordinary. You can easily tie it to things you already do every day. Stand up during the television commercials. Stand up when you take a phone call from a friend. Walk to the kitchen every single time you refill your water glass, which, by the way, also completely addresses habit #4 on our list. You solve two dangerous habits with one simple trip to the sink. Here is what the experts confirmed. People who sat for the same total hours in a day but broke it up into shorter blocks had significantly lower mortality than those who sat in long, unbroken stretches. It is not about how much total time you sit. It is about how long you sit without stopping. A geriatric researcher once pointed out the absolute absurdity of our modern life to me. People drive their cars to a gym, they take the elevator to the third floor, and then they climb a mechanical stair machine for 30 minutes. The real stairs were right there. The walk to the building was right there. The natural movement was already built into the day. We just engineered it completely out of our lives. You do not need an expensive fitness program. You do not need fancy equipment. You just need a cheap kitchen timer or a simple alarm on your phone. Every 30 minutes it rings. You stand, you stretch, you sit back down. After 1 week of doing this, your body starts expecting it. After 1 month, you will physically feel wrong sitting still for too long. Bring movement back into your day. Not as a grueling exercise routine, but as a normal part of living. The third habit happens at the very end of your day. I call it the 10-minute reset, and it quietly addresses 4 of the 5 dangers we just discussed. About an hour before you get into bed, you do 3 specific things. You always do the same 3 things in the exact same order. First, drink 1 full glass of water. Do not do it because you are thirsty. You probably are not thirsty. And that is exactly the problem I mentioned earlier. After 70, your brain simply stops sending the thirst signal reliably. So do not wait to feel it. Just drink the water. This single glass helps your kidneys work through the long hours when you are asleep and not drinking anything else. It keeps your blood from thickening while you sleep. That is habit 4, dehydration, completely handled. Second, look at tomorrow's medications. Open your pill case and physically check each one. Ask yourself out loud, do I know exactly what this pill is for? When was the last time my doctor actually reviewed it? If you cannot answer both of those questions clearly, write the name of the pill down. Bring that paper to your next doctor's appointment. This 5-second review has helped patients I know remove 2 or 3 totally unnecessary prescriptions over a couple of years. They removed pills that were doing nothing except adding risk to their lives. That is habit 2, polypharmacy, directly addressed. Third, put your mobile phone in another room. Do not just put it on silent. Do not just place it face down on your nightstand. Put it in another room entirely. The blue light from your screen severely suppresses your melatonin. That is the vital hormone your body absolutely needs to fall asleep naturally. But beyond just the light, the phone keeps your mind running. News alerts, text messages, worry, and social comparison. Your brain simply cannot shift into a deep rest while it is still processing new, stressful information. Removing the phone completely protects your sleep. That is habit 3, and it directly lowers the late-night anxiety that keeps your cortisol elevated. That is habit 5, stress. 3 simple actions taking less than 10 minutes combined. Water, a medication check, the phone put away. It is not glamorous. No newspaper will ever write a headline about it, but it touches dehydration, polypharmacy, sleep deprivation, and chronic stress all in one quiet routine. I did not find this routine in a medical textbook. I built it myself by tracking what made my own mornings feel worse. Every bad morning I had traced directly back to something I did, or did not do, the night before. The body you wake up in tomorrow is being built right now. It is being built tonight, in the quiet hours right before you close your eyes. You do not need to overhaul your entire life to feel better. You just need to change your last 10 minutes of the day. If you have watched this far, you are not here by accident. You are here because you deeply care about living well. If this channel helps you do that, I would be so grateful if you hit the subscribe button. It helps more people just like you find these videos. I want to leave you with something I read recently that moved me. There is a study still ongoing at Scripps Research in California. A geneticist named Eric Topol has been sequencing the genomes of people he calls superagers. These are individuals who have reached their 80s and 90s with absolutely no major chronic disease. They have no cognitive decline. They have full, vibrant independence. You know what surprised me most? What he found surprised everyone in the medical community. These people did not share a single unique gene. There was no magical longevity gene that set them apart from the rest of us. What they shared were daily patterns, patterns of how they lived, not how they were born. They moved constantly throughout their day. They ate simply, but they ate consistently. They slept well. They stayed connected to other people in their community. And they paid close attention to their bodies, not with a panicked obsession, but with a quiet, daily respect. The 5 habits I shared with you today are not a death sentence. They are a mirror showing you your current path. And the 3 habits I offered are not a miracle cure. They are a new direction. You do not have to change everything today. You just have to change something. And the absolute best time to start is not next Monday. It is tonight, when you put your phone in the other room and drink a glass of water before bed. Because the goal was never to live forever. The goal was to live well. Thank you for your time today. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next one. Would you like me to help you set up a simple daily checklist to track these 3 new habits?